Hi, welcome to WonHeart TV this morning. I have a special guest coming to you as we get started, bringing you perspectives and insights from women in their fields and locally in the 805 area codes. So I'm delighted to bring on a friend of mine. Hi, Cathy. Cathi Lamberti. Is that how you say it? Lamberti?
Lamberti. Yeah.
Lamberti. You know, Cathy, I have to read something. You have quite a fabulous bio that starts way, way back. I will not give your age away, but you seem to be you've been the founder of many successful businesses, and you've created them and sold them over the last couple of decades, and eventually you formed SMARTfit Inc. in 2013 to develop a technology to offer scalable brain health solutions focused on neuro-motor training. It seems the purpose is to address major health related issues to modern day inactivity such as stroke, Parkinson's disease, traumatic brain injury, dementia, and autism. And I have to ask you first, how did you ever get into this business? Unbelievable. Can you share a little bit about that? SmartFit Inc.
Well, I'm formerly, I developed as a school teacher, and I was subject to teaching groups of kids in Africa and then Australia before coming to the United States. And what fascinated me always, especially coming from an African background, is that we grew up on the farm, and the kids I taught grew up on the farm, and we solved problems, and whatever our worldly problems were, we solved them with our bodies and our minds combined, you know. And I became fascinated by the fact that over the last 120 years, education systems evolved to sitting kids down all day. And it felt intuitively contrary to how we evolved. So I started to do some research in that area. And of course, over 200,000 years, developing as Homo sapiens, hunter-gatherers, we have developed very large brains, large arms, and large legs, large extremities. And the purpose of that is to literally problem solve our way through survival and building communities and defending ourselves from other groups, etc. But what separates us from the other species is the combination of large brains, large legs, and large arms. With my background in education and the African lifestyle, it just makes so much sense that that's the way it should be. However, especially since I came to the United States and with the development of technology and just the witnessing of not only the schools, but the entire society moving to sedentary lifestyle. So my knowledge of technology, I had dived into technology, built my own technology companies, and a company in Australia sold it and came to the United States. And I wanted to find a way to give back to the world. And so in putting it all together in the early 90s, I realized that we needed a technology that would simulate the way we evolved. And even in the 90s, I extrapolated out. I went, inactivity is going to produce obesity. We know that, but that's the tip of the iceberg. What's really going to go on is we're going to start unwinding our DNA. And at a DNA level, we know that if you don't use it, you will lose it. So if you have 3, 4, 5 generations of inactivity, that's going to affect the DNA, human DNA. And that's going to affect brain health, and it's going to affect our motor coordination. We solve our problems in the world by treating our entire physical system like an orchestra. The conductor of the orchestra is the frontal cortex of the brain. That it sends instructions back to the back of the brain, which executes motor instructions to the rest of the body. And we go about our lives solving our problems, engaging with the world, with our brains and our bodies. That's what I would call cognitive motor coordination, cognitive motor health. Well, if you look at the fitness industry, it's been breaking up the exercises, right from free weights to aerobics to treadmills to now we are fortunately at what they call functional training. The last 20 years, we've been doing functional exercises, which are exercises that simulate function in the world. But we yet have not designed an exercise system that puts the frontal cortex, your thinking part of your brain, in charge of this whole function of exercising and engaging. So even our fitness industry is lagging in bringing about an exercise regime that simulates real life. So I've been like this like a dog on a bone, right from my early company, Sportwall International. We computerized PE in schools, and Billie Jean King partnered up with me and helped me launch that company. And she was just an incredible mentor. And she would look at me and say, you realize that if a person worked out on your systems for 10 minutes before their match, that they could actually get in the zone quickly during a match, a tennis match or any kind of a match. And I've kind of held that in the back of my mind, that this is, of course, great for training athletes, high-performance athletes, but I was interested in the kids. In 2013, I met up with an engineer who had mastered the ability to develop an operating system. And very few engineers can do that. They can create an operating system, application software, and then equipment that can execute this. And Jim partnered up with me in 2013. We formed SMARTfit, and we spent 5 years developing the operating system. And its purpose was to be able to deliver cues to a person that would get them to engage as if they were in a real life exercise situation or a real life game. And so we gamified it, we made it fun, but we drove the whole game, the whole exercise regime with gamification. And that was very effective in igniting the desire in the person to solve problems, okay, and to get a score and to get a result and listen to cues. Gamification is how we evolved. If you think about hunting or tournaments or, go back to the Roman times, war, battles, this is all gamification at a survival level. But that simulation, that ability to relate to it, developed into sports. And then it developed into computer games. We function well when we play. We were designed and we evolved to play, engage. It's like, I want to do better. I just got that score. I want to do better. He beat me. I want to beat him. So that whole sense of engagement, I think, is the critical part of getting people to exercise in a healthy way. And you would think, well, maybe kids want to do that. It's not true. It's like, if you want to find the most competitive people on earth, go to the 80 octagonals, the people in their 80s. It is amazing how they love to play and how they love to compete. And you just get them, put a pair of boxing gloves on a 85-year-old lady and put her in front of one of our systems, and she's at it. And I think she's just taking it out on everyone who pissed her off all her life. It's the most exciting thing to see an 80-year-old play on our SMARTfit systems, And what happens within days, within hours, you can witness them getting their motor control back, balance back. I've had a woman, a 90-year-old, walk into our gym on my arm, escorted and supported. We started with sit exercises, then sit to stand, then mobility. 3 hours later, she left, swinging her arms in the air, going, I haven't felt like this. I haven't walked like this in months, So it works very, very quickly. Why? Because that desire to engage and bringing everything in there with that intention is exactly how we evolve. And it's exactly how we need to get back to life. And it's become more and more apparent now with COVID. So many people are stuck at home.
Yes.
And when you think about inactivity is one of the top 3 preventative diseases, causes of death in the world today. Okay, and now we've got COVID and the gyms are closed, right? Yeah. So what are we doing? Well, let's think about what exercise does. Not only do you burn calories, but you reset your endocrine system. So you're talking about, what are the other killers? Obesity, diabetes.
Right.
Okay.
The big
So
one.
those are
Hmm.
the big ones. Those are the big ones, are all tied to inactivity. Why? Because the endocrine system is set by activity. They talk about the happy hormones: serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, and there's one other one. Uh, the four happy hormones get released when you exercise.
Okay, so let's talk about the endocrine system. I love the brain. I know those chemicals are right dead center in our brain. We can access them, but can you explain a little bit about what the endocrine system is exactly for those out there that
Right. The endocrine system really is the powerhouse of the body. Okay, if your endocrine system is off, you're going to be suffering power shortages. Your entire power system is going to be affected, right? So you have good hormones and bad hormones. Cortisol is not a good hormone. That comes about because of stress. Okay, so if you're constantly stressed, you're producing a lot of cortisol.
right?
If you're in fight or flight, you're producing a lot of adrenaline. Okay, these are not great to have in abundance in your body, but you do want serotonin. That serotonin balances your emotions. You do want dopamine. Dopamine starvation produces addiction. Okay, so if you have an addiction to opioids or any kind of pharmaceuticals or alcohol or anything, it means you are dopamine craved.
Mm.
Okay, and when you start resorting to external measures to produce that dopamine, your body stops producing its own dopamine. So
Mm.
that's why you go into survival when you can't have the drug. Okay. Now, the natural way, and I don't know if anyone's really proven this scientifically, but the natural way to retrain the body to produce dopamine is A, have fun, B, exercise, because
Mm.
exercise produces dopamine. Okay. So we look at the happy hormones and we say, how do I produce more of that? Okay. The other one is the diabetes effect. We're looking at sugar and the kind of diet we're eating today, especially sodas. There's a whole story around how sodas are driving the obesity effect. And not only sodas, but fruit juices. Okay. They're so full of sugar, but especially the diet soda. The diet soda is probably your most dangerous um, thing you can put into your body,
Right.
because it artificially, when it hits your tongue and your taste buds, it artificially tells you that you're receiving sugar, and it shoots out. Um, I'm having a brain. It what do you call it?
The chemicals that you're
The
craving,
sh-
basically, right?
it shoots out. Well, what is diabetes? It's a shortage of, I've got it,
Insulin. Insulin.
insulin. So when the mouth senses artificial sugar, it sends insulin to the stomach in order to convert that to fat. Okay.
Right.
Then when the soda gets to the stomach, it's a chemical sweetener.
Hmm.
So the insulin is there going, well, what do I do? I'm not needed, because insulin doesn't recognize a chemical as sugar.
Hmm.
So it stands down. Okay. You do that enough times, the brain, the DNA is going to say, when you taste something sweet, we're not sending insulin to the stomach.
Mm.
That means that the sugar has to be digested in the liver.
Ooh.
And there's your accelerated obesity and your accelerated diabetes.
Wow. Okay. 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 And of course, you're not moving because you don't feel
Not
good.
moving. So not only do you have to move and exercise as much as you can, but you also need to watch your diet and watch those chemicals you're putting in your body. Those are absolutely critical. But you bring those two together and you start to take yourself out of what they call the high risk category. You know, most of the people dying have secondary issues. What are those issues? Obesity, diabetes, cancer.
Yep.
You know, they there, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
really need to look at brain and body health. And during COVID, this whole problem has been accelerated. When you have a stroke, the most important thing is that you get stimulation as much as you can, so the brain and body can rewire new neurons to take over from the ones that were killed. Well, without that stimulation, you're going to continue to have consequences from that stroke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where my work comes in. We've developed a home version of our system so that a person can actually do home recovery from stroke. Parkinson's is another one.
Right.
The onset of Parkinson's. And then another research study that the University of Buffalo is just putting out right now is you can actually slow the onset of dementia with cognitively engaging exercise.
Oh, what are a few of them? Can you name some? Because I'm totally into this feeling.
Cognitively engaging exercise. Well, SMARTfit is all about cognitively engaging exercise because it wasn't out there. Now, sports. All sports is a cognitively engaging exercise.
Sure.
So you can go sport, you can go hiking. So where you've got your motor system and your brain working together. They call it dual tasking, right?
Right.
If you could, anything that you do where you're concurrently engaging your brain and your body, preferably in two different tasks, that's dual tasking, and that's firing up your brain and motor system.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and Google dual task exercises, etc.
Right.
Your solution, right? But sports is just the perfect way to do dual task. So what I've done with SMARTfit is we've created a technology that can go into a room, into a space, onto a field, wherever you can fit it, and it will deliver dual task exercises at your level and help you to, it will take a test, it'll show you your strengths and weaknesses, and then you can exercise and take baseline and measure, and you can actually customize your own programming to actually focus on your deficits. So if you've got a selective attention deficit in your brain, then there's certain physical exercises that you can do that will improve selective attention. If you've got an executive function issue, then you can focus on that. If you have short-term memory issues, you can focus on the short-term memory gains.
Right.
If you have long-term memory issues, you can focus on your long-term memory issues. Or you can take a total assessment and go, wow, I've got great long-term memory, but my short-term memory sucks. What can I do about it? And you choose the exercises from the SMARTfit system that will address your short-term memory.
Right.
And
right.
it's in a dual task, your body and your mind working together.
I'll tell you, I want my mind as long as I can have it. And so I do know, though, that, it's all about what you're putting into your body. So your body's not fighting off sugar, which I call the new cocaine, so to speak.
Oh, it is, yes.
And
yes, it's very addictive.
It is. And with so many people, number one on COVID lists, diabetics, obesity, they say the highest heart problems, of course. You brought up something that when you talk about getting older people back after stroke or different things, I think of the children and what we've done to our children, even in the schools where we're testing them to test. So they're at home doing all these tests. They're not out in the trees. There's some schools devoted in other countries specifically to movement up in the trees and climbing. I think that's spectacular. Is that what you're talking about? We were born.
Yes. So what we've done with our SMARTfit systems, the SMARTfit is a target. You play targets, but the targets are each a computer and they each have a display. So each one can give cues. So what we've built is a suite of games that are all about teaching kids to spell, do math, etc. So we will be significantly enhancing our academic content into this form of play. So can you imagine playing a game like soccer, but every time you kick the ball at the target, you're answering an equation question.
Oh.
Spelling a word.
Wow.
Or you're solving a multiple choice question about something. So we have designed this. It's actually, we have a test going on in Dallas. They are putting kids on a lesson and then 10 to 20 minutes on SMARTfit and then back to the next lesson and then putting a SMARTfit exercise between 10 to 20 minutes between each exercise. And that has been going on for a year, and we haven't seen the results, but I know what the results are going to be. Because when you exercise and have fun, you're producing another hormone called BDNF. And that is what they call the building, it's miracle grow for the brain cells. Okay. If you want to enhance your ability to learn or retain information, exercise, because then you're producing this hormone called BDNF, and BDNF is the hormone that builds brain cells. So it's that efficient. And we have already produced a study that if a class of kids, we had a class of kids who had difficulty learning, they start at 7 o'clock in the morning and they would play on SmartFit for 30 or 40 minutes, and then they would go to class. And we improved their academic results across the board, all subjects, by over 10%.
Wow, that's incredible.
Why? Because they got a shot of BDNF, and the next 4 or 5 hours, they were able to utilize that BDNF. That was one. Secondly, we got the stress hormone out of their bodies. Okay. Thirdly, they had fun. They got dopamine because they were doing team play, and their self-esteem was up. And fourth, all that pent-up energy in their little bodies was shot out of their bodies, and they could calmly sit down and learn. It just makes sense to mix exercise with learning. It absolutely is proven.
That's got to be a teacher's dream come true.
And that's the teacher in me. I gave up my profession to create this because I realized just how absolutely important it is, not only for the well-being of the child and the ability of the child's learning, but for us as a species. As a species, we are at risk if we don't start exercising and engaging in the world with our bodies. And right now, we're entering into not only COVID, but we've got climate change. Look outside. Our environment is a mess right now, okay? And this is going to continue probably for another decade. So we have got to learn to live indoors. And I've had this urgency. I saw this coming 10 years ago. I've had this urgency inside of me to create a technology that could simulate what we've been doing for 200,000 years, but deliver it indoors so that we can stay healthy as a species while we go through the changes that climate change are going to deliver on us.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, I know that you have this as an iOS Android app, this SmartFit, right?
Yes.
And so that's what you're talking about, is that people can download this through you? Or how's that work?
The system operates, you operate the system using an app, but you need one of our machines.
Oh, okay.
And, you can go to smartfitinc.com and that'll send you either to the home systems, our commercial fitness systems, or our medical systems. And you can take a look at thousands of videos. We've got them everywhere of the different exercises that you can do by running this app, but you need one of the machines.
Gotcha. Okay. So they can go to your website. What is the name of your website by chance?
It's www.smartfitinc.com, SMARTFITINC.com.
Yeah, I have that right here. So I'm going to make sure that when we upload this video to WonHeart TV and on my website, I'll make sure that that's in the bottom so people can find you.
Yes.
Yeah, with the cognitive decline, I think what gets me the most right now is what they're not talking about, and that's the suicides around being inside and alone and hopeless, even.
Right.
And again, that goes back into this part of the brain. You want to bring that up. You want to bring it.
The key part here is, let's talk about the conductor of the orchestra. Okay, if my frontal cortex is the conductor of the orchestra, and everything happens from there, okay? If you think about what's going on right now, you've got an orchestra sitting in a room without an audience to play to.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
I know that.
So your conductor doesn't have an audience to play to, so there's not much to bring the orchestra alive. Okay, what do you need? Number one, you need engagement. You need to engage in something. Okay, so that's absolutely critical. If you're sitting around unemployed, and your market, your industry has been shut down, or you've family and you can't see them, those things that keep you engaged in life have been taken away from you,
Right.
is going to produce a lack of purpose, because what you've told the entire orchestra to do is to stand down. Okay.
Right.
Now, that engagement and then the physical exercise and the physical movement that comes about, all those instruments in the orchestra playing,
Right.
okay, since they're standing down, you're not producing those hormones that keep you happy, that
True.
keep you motivated, keep your self-esteem up. So you're going to be at risk of resorting to the easy dopamines, which are the addictions. Okay,
Okay.
the alcohol, the drugs, the ways of just shutting down the world. I have no purpose, so I'm just going to pump myself with dopamine, which is what addiction is. Yeah, it's just an easy, cheap way to get a dopamine. But think about the hopelessness that's coming from this. And if climate change is on the other side of this, what we are living here is possibly going to continue. So we have to reinvent ourselves. We can become victims of this and start following conspiracy theories and blaming all the conspiracies for our demise. Or we can say, regardless of the conspiracies, whether they're true or not, I need to take responsibility for myself, my well-being, my health. Can I go online and take a course and better my education?
Right.
Can I find a way can I get a treadmill inside? Can I get a home SmartFit system? Can I get on a bicycle and go on the bike path? Can I go hiking? Can I go to the beach and walk? Just get yourself moving, because when you move, you feel better about yourself, because the hormones, the happy hormones trigger and they lift you, you know? So it's a terrible time right now. And I just wish I could help everybody. I'd like to solve everyone's problems. But what I have done is I focused on the big issues. And the big issues is that we need a technology that will help us get through this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I've been focusing on developing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, this information's just been, I talked with you some time ago about the work with the vibration of 432 hertz, why I was using it. You had mentioned you dabbled with some of that with autism, the children you
Mm.
work with, and I found it so fascinating that you had found the vibration. I can't recall the number, but there's such power as a musician
Mm.
in vibration. We're made of vibration.
Yes.
And we do need each other. Oh my goodness sakes, we really
Well,
do. So yeah.
the 432 hertz is the hertz of the planet. Okay. The vibration of the planet is 432 hertz. And we used to have all of our musical instruments set at 42
Yes,
hertz.
we did.
But when Hitler came into power, one
Hmm.
of the things to mobilize people was he reset that to 440 hertz.
He did.
The higher the hertz are, the more militant and the more aggressive. So one needs to be careful about what music we're listening to. But the music and the sound and the tones that we put into the SmartFit systems are set at 432 hertz, because that is calming for a child with autism. I tell you, if you've got a kid with autism in your life, there's your barometer. This child is so sensitive to the energies of the world. Watch that child and learn from that child. And one of the things we've done for our children with autism is we've set our instrumentation at 432 hertz, all the musics and the sound effects, and it does affect them.
Oh yeah.
They are calmer. I see children, non-speaking kids with autism, run into the building, 7-year-old, there was one I'm thinking about, just running into our building and just grabbing the toys and playing with our SmartFit system for over an hour, just on her own, engaging. And those engaging exercises were teaching her words and letters, numbers, and she'd dive out of the car, come straight into the gym and just go at it. And the parents said, we've never seen her stick at anything for more than 2-3 minutes, you know? So I know this works. And when you get your technology right, the child with autism is your barometer to tell you you've done it right, you know?
Right, right.
Cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel very much, I feel so delighted to have you today. My focus has been interviewing women. primarily. The feminine energy is very needed on the planet right now to help heal Mother Earth. If you're interested in these videos, I really recommend that you check out oneheartinfo.org, where you can catch this replay. I'm going to replay this video of you, Cathy. Can't help it. And I want you to start a change reaction in your own life. How can you begin to heal in a world that's kind of feeling kind of crazy right now? It definitely starts with yourself, and you can do it. So take a look by topic on WonHeart TV on YouTube channel or oneheartinfo.org. Where can they reach you? I'm going to put your information in the YouTube video when I replay it, but are you easy to get a hold of? Are you so busy?
I'm accessible through our website.
Okay.
You just Google SmartFit. Remember, we make you smart and fit. So you put those two words together, SmartFit. Google SmartFit, you'll get onto one of our websites. And if you go through to contact, you will always land up with me. I'm totally accessible.
Sounds
And
good.
every
Good.
one of our customers has my cell phone number. That's
I'm
how
so
we
glad I met you those years back in Santa Barbara, and we just had a wonderful time and hooked up right away because I was very fascinated in your work, and I still am. And I hope to have some of you back on, so just be prepared for me to be giving you another holler. Thank you. I know you have a limited amount of time, Zoom to
Yeah.
Zoom meeting, but you have a fabulous day. Again, check out SmartFit Inc.com and see what Cathy's got going on. I mean, her work is exceptional for those that are in the decline and alone and isolated. It's so important for them not to get moving again. So it's so important. Thank you, Cathy. Thank you.
Sure, my pleasure.
All righty. Well, you all have a great day, you all, and we'll see you soon. Peace. Love you all. And I'm out. Bye bye, Cathy.
Ciao.